friends and viewers? This is Asvarduil, and welcome to a brand new and exciting episode of my game development live stream. Tonight, we are going to be working on Sara the Shieldmage, a Eastern-style RPG that I am creating in Unity. Now, since my last broadcast 2 weeks ago, quite a lot's happened. Not quite as much as radically changing the genre of the game, but well, I've done quite a bit with it. Probably the easiest way to show you would be to go ahead and load up the Crystal Cave scene. Um, Turn on those lighting effects there, and I'll show you what I mean. So we've still got our cave scene. I've got random encounters enabled because I can. You'll notice there's side to side and up and down animations for Sara. I haven't had really. I've had more time to work on the game this week than usual, so it's in a good way. I think I could work on her animations just a little bit more, but for right now they're serviceable, and they certainly help me to get the game implemented, which is well what I really need to do. Other than that, let me go ahead and get into a random battle for real this time. I haven't done anything about the water. I probably need to do something about that soon. Yeah, and of course I get RNG luck on my dev live stream. Of course, just goes to show you that games are sentient beings and know how to make you cry at any given time. I don't suspect this game will be any different. So you'll notice that those panes on the bottom are now completely missing. I've added a chime for when character's ATB menu pops up. I've still got the two default commands for Sara that I had from last time, only now whenever you click attack or guard, you'll get a target menu because, well, the way I have it right now, those are both targeted abilities. You hit the cave slime, it smacks the cave slime, and when you deal enough damage, it dies, and you hear the victory music. Now I'm just going to let it go on for just a second, because you're going to hear something. Yeah, see, that's not really supposed to happen. It's supposed to rewind to about the 4-second mark of that victory tune and play something completely different. I might do something about that on stream tonight, but I might not. There's actually a lot of other things that I really need to do in order to get the game up and off the ground. So, probably where I'm going to start tonight. Let me see. I've got some things written down, just some tasks. I've already implemented the death effects and victory music. I can refine those, but I might do that later on. Enemy AI is going to be interesting, and because of the nature of my broadcasts, people really love to hear about game programming, especially gameplay programming specifically. I'm not doing engine programming on my own, that's for certain. Because people like to hear about gameplay programming, I'm probably going to be actually doing that. I think that's something I could get started on and working within the hour and a half that I'm going to be broadcasting tonight. Alternatively, I could work on the end of battle stuff like the victory message and rolling for individual pieces of loot. That would perhaps be the easiest thing for me to do. I say perhaps because I've largely forgotten about the code interfaces for forcing items to appear in the player's inventory. So that's a thing. So I don't know. I think I'm going to do AI. That's sort of what I'd convinced myself that I would do. And I'll do it. So the first thing I need to do actually then is load up the cave battle scene. So, okay, so what we've got, and I'm just speaking through this mostly for my own benefit, but for other reasons as well. So one of the things that I've got going on is I have this thingamabob called Battle Entity. This is what is going to be controlling animations and stuff inside of a battle situation. It's got a sprite. It's got that thing that tells it what death effect to use. All well and good. So what I think I'm going to wind up doing, actually I'm going to go ahead and open my solution in C# in Visual Studio. That's one thing that's different. Up to this point I've been using MonoDevelop for all of my coding needs, and only in the last couple of days have I switched over to using a version of Visual Studio Express. So yeah, that's a thing too. So yeah, my interface is going to look a little bit different. I'm always welcoming comments on whether or not it's easier or harder or whatever to read. So probably one of the things that I need to add is um, some kind of an AI, I think. And that's where things are going to go a little bit interesting. Um, so we've got base behaviors. I guess really what I want to do, I need some kind of a contract. And then I can make every battle entity expose a method that will let the player choose, or will let the intelligent agent choose what to do. So I'm going to go ahead and make a debuggable behavior. This needs to be an abstract class because I don't want anything to directly create an AI base. What's going to happen is behaviors are going to instead be extracted from this. So I guess what I need to do, I need to use system because it has the action type on it, which is ultimately what I need. And then I'm going to expose as an action the AI process. And then, this is where things are going to get even more interesting. Let me go ahead and make this a virtual void start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have actually no, I don't even have to do that with the void start. Forget that. I can do something completely different. It's probably a better idea too. Excuse me. That's better. Okay, so can make this just a getter. I can just name this something like, oh, I don't know. Hmm. It's an AI process. Returning the AI process so that it could just be ran through. I can call it void determine action. That's good. That's reasonable. And you'll notice something strange I'm doing, well, compared to some other code, is I'm just returning determine action, no parentheses. Nah, I'm just returning the function handle. That's on purpose. So go ahead and reload the solution. Then I'll do that in my battle entity method. See, battle entity. Actually, that needs to be public, I think. I don't like it being public, don't get me wrong. I think it... Oh, I guess I can't really avoid it in this case. I'll do something about it eventually. So let's see if Unity is complaining yet. No, okay, that's good. So down here in my game-specific assets, it's about time for me to add some game-specific code. Go ahead and create an AI directory, and in that directory I'm going to create a slime. I'm going to create a script for my cave slime AI. And most of this is going to be pretty simple, really. Okay, so probably the first thing I'm going to need to do, actually I need to work on my AI base just a little bit more. Because there's a few things, well, we really need to know. I guess one of the things is we're going to need to know about the abilities that a given AI has access to. And that can be done rather easily. And I can set up the battle load code in order to read that from the source battle entity. So that's a thing. Now, from what I can do, this gets a little bit more interesting because I'm using code, so I could write my AIs any number of ways I want to. I could have them just use moves off of a random number generator. I could have sort of a state machine going on, which in some AIs I'm definitely going to. Um, I don't think for the cave slime anything very complicated is necessary. That's not the point of the cave slime. So for determine action, what I can do, actually, I need to change determine action. Needs to return an ability. Because pretty much what we're saying is determine what am I going to do as an artificial intelligence? What am I going to do? And in the cave slime's case, cave slime, it's a very simple thing. Um, it doesn't have much in the way of abilities. It's very much a starting monster. There's nothing clever about it in the least. So I'm just going to return the first ability. And that's what it's going to use. Every time one of its turns come up, it's just going to use its main ability, which, funny enough, is going to be attack. And that's how the slime is going to expect to win the battle. If I decide for some reasons the slime should be smarter, which maybe on a later variant of the slime I very well might, um, that's a thing. I could write some more complicated logic, but in this case, yeah, this is just a basic AI script just to prove that I can get an enemy that fights back. So I need to do some other things. The referee. You'll notice a lot of new code in here. To get um, yeah, to get that started, I had to do a lot of stuff. Um, Guess what I could do. There's some other things I need too in this enemy definition. So in the enemy, a combat entity that exists sort of in code, um, I to do need something that will actually use the AI method. Actually, no, this needs to be a func ability because now it's returning something. So there we go. That makes that go away. Yeah. So it's going to have a func ability, which is the AI method. That's public. So what I can do in the battle referee is I can say enemy.ai method. Actually, I need to get this. This is kind of important. Actually, no, I didn't have to do any of that. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. It makes me feel better. That's what counts. Do enemy dot battle piece dot AI dot AI process. That's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to read it directly from the battle piece. So that's easy. ATB methods. This is where stuff gets interesting. Pretty much, I need to make it choose. Oh, that's a thing. So one of the things that's interesting about abilities is that it's not enough just to have an ability. You've also got to have a target for an ability if it's a targeted ability. Since the slime is a basic monster and it just uses a attack command pretty much, um, it needs to choose a target from from the list of players. To that end, I need some more code. So that's another thing I need to add in. And then I can tell then I can keep a cache of which ability that the AI has selected. It may not be useful 100% of the time, but I think it'll work. So I can change this method to look like that. Determine target. This signature isn't actually going to work, because what it really needs is a list of combat entities. So it makes this look a little bit interesting, but it still gives us a function with which we can hook onto. I need to make this use the same stuff. Generic. So now this fulfills the contract. Probably one more thing I'm going to do. And then what I'll do is I will go ahead and say something like random. You do something like that for the cave slime, since it's just going to really choose a target at random. And this also makes quite a few assumptions too. This is assuming that I'm only going to pass it a list of enemies. And that's actually probably a bad assumption for this code to make. Probably what I really need to do, just to prevent myself from having some headaches longer, let's see, these are combat entities, so could say where in every case where the combat entity um, is really a playable character, get that list. And I'm not using system.link. Now on the subject of link, one thing to note in your own code is that link is actually less performant than it should be in Unity due to the mono compiler that's being used. There are some alternatives to link out there. Someone on the Unity forums was coming up with a so-called safe link that avoids unnecessarily allocate memory to these sort of IEnumerable functions, and I highly recommend checking that out. I'm going to be including that in the project at some point. For the time being, however, I'm going ahead and using just the standard included link for development purposes. It's another of those polish points to do before I release the game. So this is good. This is helpful. Be careful with it. That's all. So I can change that targeting code and yeah, develop a list of targets. So okay, so I've got determine action, I've got determine target. Let's go back to the battle referee. So the way this normally works is for the player at least, what happens is your ATB meter fills up and that causes a command prompt to appear. The player selects an ability from their list, which depending on the target type gets passed back to the referee here. The player, if it's one of these target things, they'll either select a ally or they'll select an enemy. That gets passed back down to the command presenter, which says, "Okay, you know what you're doing. Have fun. Apply that target to the command that you've just selected." And that triggers usability here, and then apply, and then from there, this code that loops through all of the ability effects on an ability and applies those to the enemy. So pretty much what I need to do is the same sort of thing, but in microcosm and sort of behind the scenes. So what I can do is see, I can do done. Method. Then I can get a oh right. So I can determine action, determine target, and then I'll cap it all off by saying usability, selected ability. The source is going to be this particular enemy, and it's going to affect the target, and that, in theory, should make it all work. So we've got another one of those. I need to go ahead and bind that up in the loading code. You know what? Thought this, well, I don't know. This is a little bit better. Screw it. I'm gonna do this instead. Then I'll do enemy.determine target piece.ai. That'll do this for both of those, and I think I'll give this method a little bit of a rename. Instead of calling these process, I'm going to call these actually, you know what I'm going to do? I know it conflicts. I'm going to do this a different way. This isn't a language like JavaScript where you can arbitrarily change functions. At least I don't think you can. Actually, no, you can't unless if it's a stored type. Then and only then can you change a function. Because this is a member, you cannot change it. In JavaScript, in actual JavaScript. That's one of the real differences with that language is you can define an object in JavaScript and define method foo on it, and then at a later time you can make foo do something completely different than what it originally did. In C Sharp, you don't quite have that problem, so that's something to be aware of. Let me check chat actually, because it looks like I got a couple of people taking a look. How's it going? So we've got our determine action and determine target out of the way. Those are the two big things. We've got a battle referee that sets those up, and oh, right. I guess it needs the list of every entity in the game. Okay, so I know what to do with this. Okay. I'll make a property with a very simple getter. What we'll say is to pretty much to return the union of both sets, which is the list of players and the list of enemies. Combat entity. No. So I'll go ahead and start by doing that. Then I'll do an add range. Then I'll add all the players. Yeah. P goes to P. Oh, forgot a parentheses. There we go. Then I'll just do the same thing with enemies. Nothing to it. I'll use a different letter because it's enemies and not players. I feel that's only fair to the enemies. I guess one other thing I can do. Nah. I'm gonna do it this way. It's gonna regenerate it every time, which is a little bit on the wasteful side. I don't know. I don't really see how else I'm going to be able to do it, to be perfectly honest. I mean, to give the AI good enough insight into what else is going on, I'm going to have to pretty much just create a completely different list at every time the AI wants to take an action. Just say, okay, what's the state of the battle? Have the AI go through its decision-making paths and then come up with its answer. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do it that way, I think. Let's see if that compiles. Oh, determine action cannot change access modifiers. Right, I think I know what's going on. Protected, that's what I did wrong. Sure, save it. This needs to be public. Just 1 second. All right, please pardon that interruption. Okay. Right, so public. Will Unity complain? No, it won't. See how chat's doing? See you guys. Okay, let's try it. What? Oh wait, I know what could possibly go wrong. We need to give the cave slime an actual ability. So I'm going to give the cave slime a attack. Probably need to change the names of that because right now I have target enemy, target ally. Target enemy, target ally actually mean different things than what I sort of envisioned them meaning. So I'm just creating the ability now. Sort of the way abilities in my game setup work is you have sort of the metadata for an attack, which has a name, a description, the battle prefab that gets instantiated, whether or not you can use it, how much it costs, who it can affect pretty much, or who you can select for it to affect. And then you get into effects. So you can have many effects to a single attack. Like for instance, you might have a attack that you might have an ability that heals an ally and causes them to regenerate health, or you might have a ability that gives a temporary boost to defense and a temporary boost to attack at the same time, or you get the point. You could do any number of things, and that's one of the things that sort of defines an RPG is those sort of combination moves. So what I want to do is I want to give it an effect floor of 1. It'll always be 1.0 times however much it happens. And then random effects, there's going to be no randomness to it, and it's going to target HP. And the feedback type and feedback value I haven't quite gotten in the game yet. I'm going to be working on those. And drops is more of a loot thing. That thing that easy thing I chose not to do at the start of the video. Well, I say easy, but I think in this case this is actually the easier thing to do. All right, let's give it a shot. No reference right away. Very nice. Bet I know where this nulls out at. Oh, crap. I know why it nulls out there, too. Because I'm an... Well, I was about to say because I'm an idiot, which is true, but... But... I did not properly assign AI, the AI script. Whoa. Back. There you go. Slimy abilities. Actually, come to think about it, do I really... I don't think I need that list of abilities. I think what I could do instead is I could just pass in the list of abilities. I think that's a better idea. Can't believe I didn't think of that before. Screw it, that's what I'm doing. That's much better. Yeah. That's just generally better. Okay. And then what I could do even further from that is create a method inside of enemy.cs that sort of does this, and I could just I don't know, because this is two separate objects. Yeah, I'll probably just keep it like this for right now. I think that's fine. I was gonna say I could probably create a method that returns both the selected ability and the target, and then have usability just reference that sort of ability target uh, combination, and could probably apply that um, similarly. Oh no, because that's happening somewhere else. Really, this is simpler. I'm overthinking it. That's a danger of being a programmer, ladies and gentlemen. You tend to overthink things. Let's see. So that should get rid of the null reference when we run again. Nope, still there. So at line 160, enemy determine action. Battlepiece.ai.determine action. Right. So let's take a look at this right quick. AI base AI is get component base. So I guess what's happening is this isn't actually finding that AI based component. It's probably looking for it specifically by name, and that probably means I have to do something different. First things first. I'm going to create this little exception. So what I'm thinking is going to happen is I'm going to run the game, and I'll see that invalid operation exception if it's failing to... Yeah, it failed. Okay, so I can't do that. Good to know. What I can do instead, though, hmm, that's a good question. What can I do? Well, fortunately, this won't break the game. So this thing expects it absolutely to be an AI base, not to inherit from AI base, but to be an AI base. I guess the questions are what alternatives does that present me with? I guess what I could do, I could instead I could do this the other way around. That's what I could do. Right now, what I'm trying to do is from the battle entity, I'm trying to look for that cave slime AI thing. What I could do instead is I could create a hook. Actually, what I could do, I can move this to the base class. I could create a start method. Can find the entity, and then I can say entity.ai equals this. Merry Christmas. And of course, actually, no, that'll work. That'll do nicely. Right. Let's give this a shot. No reference exception. Dang it. Well, so much for that. Although it might have worked. Actually, what am I doing? Okay. So yeah, it's still happening at line 160. Well, so much for that plan. Hmm. So this gets to be one. This gets to be one of the more interesting things. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. I need a way to tell this battle referee for the enemy itself to tell the battle referee what it intends to do and to whom it intends to do. That's the main thing. As a player, I have cute user interface things that sort that all out. As an enemy just directly tells the battle referee, "Hey, I'm gonna smack character number 0 in the face." I think that the method of the doing isn't what's in question here. It's how I'm it's how I'm telling this sort of in-memory enemy object how it goes about doing decision making. See, hey there, and that's sort of the main trick I've got to resolve. So obviously this AI thing isn't working. It's not doing me any favors. Let's go back to my AI based stuff. So this isn't working right here. This sort of reverse injection method isn't working. Or is it? You know what? Let's make sure this is actually not working under any circumstances. There we go. So when I run this, and I look at the list of things that have gone horribly and completely wrong, this line should not be in there. If this line is in there, then I absolutely have to pursue a different way of doing things. Otherwise, I might have a slightly simpler problem. Okay. Okay, that line was not in there. That's good. I would think that, yeah, if that AI instance was genuinely null, then I would have seen this exception as well as the null ref. So this sanity check, I'm gonna comment it out for right now because it's good to keep around. That sanity check told me that there is an AI a reference to the AI base of the cave slime AI. That's what I wanted to know. The trick now is how do I get the battle referee to see that? Well, I guess first things first. I can refine this problem ever so slightly. I did not mean to highlight all the way down. That's just me being neurotic. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that sort of took okay, that took the place. So we're getting somewhere. This might seem really stupid, but there's all sorts of things that can cause null reference exceptions. Now, how I would get around this though, that's the interesting thing. Um, It's one of the downsides of using Visual Studio. In this case, that um, I don't think I can do breakpoints. One check I need to add though while I'm on the subject. Enemy dot battle piece equals null. If there's no battle piece, things have already gone horribly, horribly wrong. And this needs to make its way down into this one as well. Okay. I'm gonna try. Oh, right. Never mind. I'm gonna try setting a breakpoint. There we go. I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen, if anything will happen, by setting a breakpoint. It doesn't look like anything happened. Crap. Let's make sparks fly. Okay. So the AI got off two. The AI actually got off 2 turns. It's just I need to resolve this little issue, and then the AI will be properly able to fight back. Okay. So line 164 now. Which, okay. I know if I do like a debug message, I'm just gonna see enemy.battlepiece.ai is null. So that's not even a thing. So I guess I need to pursue a different way of doing this. Right now I'm storing, okay, so I have this sort of AI based thing that is exposed, I have this cave slime AI. It is beholden to a contract where it has two public methods whereby the AI chooses what it will do and to whom it will do it. I think that's very good. That's definitely the way to go about doing this sort of thing. The trick, though, is getting these methods into the battle entity. Okay, so maybe I'm trying too hard with this. Let's try something a little bit simpler. Instead of Instead of trying to pass a reference to the entire behavior, what I could instead do list. Oh right, this needs to use system generic collections. So what I'm thinking I could do instead is, instead of associating the whole cave slime AI to that one little variable, I could instead do something a little bit smaller, a little bit smarter, if you will. Not skip to the next line. I can instead just say, I can instead say that. I think that seems reasonable. That shouldn't produce any null references, I think. But just to be sure, just to be absolutely sure. Actually, if that fails, then I'm gonna know it right away, and there's no point in bogging myself down with anything else. See what? Oh right, I forgot. Visual Studio doesn't open directly to it. Okay. 191. Oh, it's because I didn't change that. My bad. You see how chat's doing? Okay. Okay. So that's a thing. Okay. Hmm. Kind of speechless right now, actually. Could have sworn that was gonna work. Let's see what we've got. Okay. So there's always more than one way to get at something. Guess what I'm thinking in this case? I could get even more complicated in some ways than this, but it might actually work because right now right now I'm relying on components to communicate to other components their capabilities, and even though there's ways you can do this, but this isn't a normal case. This is a little bit more advanced. Um, guess what I'm thinking first is maybe AI base does not need to be a behavior at all. And maybe it doesn't need a link to a particular entity. And maybe it needs to be serializable. That needs Unity engine. Okay. So that leads to the same question we have before. How, in that case, do you get this set of functionality into this battle entity such that it can be read? Well, there's a way to do that. First, I'm bringing back the AI variable. And I'm putting this right back where I found it. So that's that first. Second, that doesn't change the fact that I still need a AI of some description. I still have to get it into the battle piece. Now you might think an easy thing I could do is maybe just make a cave slime piece inherit from battle entity or whatever, and then hard code these methods on it, and while that might solve the problem of getting those methods to appear, it actually wouldn't solve that problem because battle referee is specifically looking for a battle entity, not an object that inherits from battle entity. That's one of the things that's sort of injuring my attempts at greatness right now. However, I'm not out of luck, and that's what's important. Uh, what I might need, though, I hate to say this, I might need a factory service. Something that all it does is you pass it the name of a monster and it poops out a class. And I think I'm going to do just that. Alright. And I'm going to make this debuggable. Actually, no, it's going to be a manager base. That's a better idea. That's a much better idea. Right, so the syntax up there may look a little weird, but trust me, it's legit, it works. The big thing about the manager base is it allows access to a instance, sort of like what's called a singleton, but it's different. There's yeah, it's different because of how it exists in Unity. It doesn't really exist in sort of the same way that singleton does. But what is important about this is this needs to expose this needs to have a method that will yeah, that gets an AI for an agent by name. And then what I'm going to have is a is I'm going to have this dictionary that I'm going to initialize in the start hook, and then this method will simply do that. Problem is, this isn't without drawbacks, and the reason I don't like doing it this way is because there are maintenance problems associated with that. Pretty much I'm going to have to do this sort of thing over and over and over and over again in this start. Every time I add a new monster to the game that has a slightly different AI, I'm going to have to add it to this dictionary. And that's not ideal. That for one thing, that prevents the game from being modifiable. It prevents me from being able to make offline changes quite as easy as I would like. It's just suboptimal, is what it comes down to. Um, it can work, I think. We'll see about that, actually. Battle AI Factory, yeah, there we go. And then pretty much what's going to happen is whenever one of these battle entities gets spawned off, is this is going to happen. Just to make absolutely sure, have I called this cave slime? Yes, I did. But I might want to strip the clone prefix or suffix off of it. No, that's not going to work either. Pretty much what I've got to do is I've got to trim off every instance of space clone from the game object name. Or I could just be a lazy jerk and just say what the actual name of this game object is. You know what? I'm going to do that. That actually might help me with something else. Future. Before I get into that, one more thing. This has actually got to be a little bit more complex. I have to use more link to do it, by the way. There we go. It's a little circumlocucious, but yeah, should work. So I've already got some good trap code in place. Crap. Well, they can't all be winners, ladies and gentlemen, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and be working on getting this figured out within the next 2 weeks, as well as some other things. Um, there's a lot on the plate actually right now. I've still got to implement loot. I've got to get the death effects, victory music, battle animations properly working, preferably in a reusable way so that I can focus more on creating content for the game instead of writing framework code. Um, there's still the matter of actually creating some of the early game content. That's something I've wanted to get started with. I definitely want to create the world map first because that's sort of going to be the thing that ties everything together. I want to have a nice, rich, luscious world for the player to explore, and then I can start adding things to that world, and we'll see where it goes from there. Um, Yeah, I think that's about a good place to prepare to end the broadcast for tonight. It to say it didn't go quite as planned, it's a little bit of an understatement. On the other hand, I think I've sort of shown how you go about basically coding artificial intelligence. In this context. By the time I broadcast 2 weeks from now, I really, 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 really want to have a working enemy AI. If all goes well, in 2 weeks, I will broadcast with the main character getting horribly beaten up by a cave slime. I never thought I would say that on a live stream, let alone about in games in general. But, that's what happens when you make games. So that's my goal. That's the plan. I very much thank you guys for watching. Y'all definitely make this live stream a better place. I definitely hope I see y'all again in about 2 weeks when I broadcast again. Um, definitely happy holidays. I hope your Christmas holidays went well, and I hope your New Year's holidays go well too. So thank you guys very much. I'll go ahead and lament over the misbehaving cave slime in private. It may or may not involve alcohol. Just saying. All right, well, I hope you all have a great evening. Have a good one. Till next time. Bye bye.